describe, but it was in her mind, not mine.
How did your relationship with Ms. Heard affect your substance use?
Well, for example, when we were on the road, you know, when you're traveling from, if you're on a press tour, or if you're making a film and you're staying in hotels or this or that, I would always have to get a different, or we would always have to book an extra room that I was able to escape to, so I didn't have to lock myself in another bathroom. It breaks you down. The constant haranguing breaks you down. And, you know, there's a part of you that says, listen, if I'm going to be accused of this, might as well just do it. But it never exceeded, it never, my substance abuse or use, the alcohol that I used or drank was, again, purely, it's that little boy who didn't want to hear or didn't want to feel the pain of his mother turning him into some kind of ball of insecurity and pain. So, yes, I was more inspired by Miss Heard to reach out for a numbing agent because of the constant clashes, because of I mean, maybe a few days here and there, but there wasn't a day that you'd wake up and you'd expect something was going to hit the fan, and pretty much like clockwork it did. So yes, I had to have something to distance me and distance my heart from those verbal attacks. I had to have something to be able to maintain me, and I'm afraid for a while, because of placation, because I didn't want to rock the boat, as it were. Again, you pick your battles. So placation seemed the best route if I was unable to escape her clutches.
How, if at all, did Ms. Heard try to support you in abstaining from the drugs and alcohol as she requested?
Well, I mean, verbally, and she had been quite clear verbally and pretty bullish and brutish about wanting me to, telling me that I needed to stop drinking. But drinking was basically drinking wine with her, and I suppose maybe from youth, I don't know, but I've always had a pretty high tolerance for alcohol, especially it's not spirits, you know. I had a pretty good tolerance for alcohol, substances, and things of that nature. But there was no, I had no, I've worked with therapists, drug counselors who have actually said the words to me because I wanted to know. I wanted to know, am I an alcoholic? Am I an alcoholic? Or is this just the same thing that I did as a kid when I took my mom's nerve pill? Do I have a drinking problem? And it essentially came down to this. Do you have a drinking problem, Johnny?
Objection. Calls for hearsay. What the doctors told him.
I'm not sure he's saying what the doctors told him.
I think that's what's about to be testified to.
Oh, if you can make that clear, I guess.
Let me ask you a different question, Mr. Depp.
Yes. Let's let him object to another one.
How often would Ms. Heard drink in your presence while you were in a relationship?
Always. Well, yeah. Ms. Heard drank, she took a shine to a very nice Spanish wine called Vega Sicilia. She and all her friends did. Yeah, the wine would come out, and Miss Heard could very easily drink 2 bottles of wine per night. Well, not a problem. What I found strange was when I did get sober from the I was off the opiates that I had been addicted to prior to a year or so before, a couple of years before. She asked me if I would stop drinking to save the relationship, of course. I stopped drinking. And I always found it odd that in support of me not drinking, that she might stop drinking. But she did not. She continued. And I didn't make a big deal about it. In fact, I would open her wine, I would pour her a glass, and that went on for many, many months, you know, in my sobriety. Like I said, I think I was sober for around 18 months. Then there was a time when I was asked to, and I'd been off of alcohol, I'd been off of drugs, everything, except for the medication that I'm prescribed. I had to go to London to give a Lifetime Achievement Award to a dear old friend who was an elderly man, great actor called, his name's Christopher Lee, and he was a dear friend. And I was surprised, he was being surprised by my showing up on stage. I'd just flown in from the States, and he was surprised by me arriving to give him this award. And Christopher came up and accepted the award. We walked, they brought us backstage to this beautiful library where I was with Christopher and his wife, and a waiter came up and had 3 glasses of champagne. And Christopher handed one to his wife, he handed one to me, and then he had the other and there was a photographer there, and the glass came up to toast, and I just, in my head, I thought, it's just champagne, a little bit, tink, to toast Christopher and his Lifetime Achievement Award. And so I'd had half a glass of champagne with Christopher Lee and his wife. After that, immediately after that award ceremony, I went to pick up Miss Heard and take her to dinner at a restaurant. And I told her that I'd had a half a glass of champagne with Christopher. And I thought, listen, it's not like, you're sitting in a pub guzzling pints of snake bites or Guinness or doing shots of Jägermeister, or it wasn't even, at that point, it wasn't even for need to bury feelings or emotions. It was literally a joyous occasion for Christopher, and I said to her, I enjoyed it, It gave me the opportunity to enjoy the actual champagne, the drink, and my appreciation for wine and winemaking, and that I've been fascinated with for years and years. And I saw nothing wrong in it, and I said I'd like to have a glass of champagne. As she was sitting there with a glass of wine, and we were in the restaurant, and she absolutely lost it and got up and stormed to the ladies' room. And I told my security and driver, I said, I think we have to go. I think we're going to have to leave. So we left the restaurant and went home. And the mere suggestion of me sipping a glass of champagne or having one glass or two glasses of wine, she went apoplectic. It was, I was weak. I was a complete mess. I was an alcoholic. I was going to ruin everything. Your kids are not proud of you. They can't stand what you're doing to yourself. So at that point, I said to her, okay, listen, how about this? You want to support me not drinking? I've never asked you this before. How about you stop drinking? How about you get sobriety and share this sobriety with me to support me and help me through this?
What did she say to that?
No. No. She said no. She said she didn't have a problem. But I've never had a physical addiction to alcohol. I don't.
How often have you seen Ms. Heard use other illicit drugs in your presence?
Several times.
And what drugs were those?
She was always quite fond of MDMA, which is ecstasy, and mushrooms, and she had some medications that she was on already that were, one in particular was quite a high velocity, speed, if you will, called, I don't know if I can say the name. Am I allowed to say the name? It doesn't matter.
That's not necessary. How often did you see Ms. Heard take MDMA?